my name is Patrick Hall, and I'm going to be doing a presentation on torque, power, energy concepts of a back squat. All right, we're going to start off with the definition of torque. The rotary effects of a force about an axis of rotation, measured as the product of the force and the perpendicular distance between the force's line of action and the axis. Torque involvement in a squat. The angle degree of the axis joint, the amount of force, length of the moment arm. Here in the picture, as you can see, the purple and the blue are representing the moment arm. Torque involvement in a squat. Okay, torque takes place in the axis joints of the lower extremity throughout the entire movement of the lift. Again, here you see the blue and green are representing the moment arms and the joints that are affected. All right, factors that can affect torque in a squat. Technique is a major factor that can affect torque during lift. If an athlete is either kicking his hips out too far or internally rotating his knees, they're actually creating excessive force or excessive torque or unwanted torque. Lack of flexibility can also be a cause that would create excessive torque. Tightness can cause poor technique, which in result would cause excessive torque production. Ways to improve technique and prevent injury. Exercises that will improve squat technique. There's tons of exercises out there that will improve technique of a back squat. These are just some that I've used myself that I really like. Kind of half Bosu ball seated squats, kind of working the progression of the squats, making sure they got nice control, tight core and everything before kind of just working that progression of the back squat. This one I like right here. You take the resistant band, you put it around the knees, kind of forces the athlete to externally rotate those knees. I do this with athletes that have a habit of internally rotating their knees, and this actually seems to help correct them over time. This picture, she's doing everything correct here. I would just like to see a little bit of a wider base. Ways to improve technique and prevent injury. Stretching. Stretching is crucial. I believe in flexibility to the fullest. More flexible, less injuries. Honestly, that's like my motto. Piriformis is actually one of my favorite stretches. This is an example he's using here is just taking that ankle, putting it over the knee, pulling that knee to that opposite shoulder. Get a nice little stretch right here in the piriformis. Research study done at University of Primorsko found that to reduce torque and obtain some joint relief in the knees during a squat is suggested to use low bar squat technique. This is actually a few different researchers that kind of prove this. So if you have an athlete that is kind of coming back from a knee injury and he's finally able to get under the bar again, maybe you'd want to try to just get a little bit of relief in those knee joints. Maybe try a low bar back squat. Also, if maybe you have an athlete that tends to have knee issues, or maybe he's a runner and just constant pounding, and you just don't want to put any more of a beating on those joints, low bar back squat might be the way to go. Definition of power: rate of work production, calculated as work divided by the time during which the work was done. Also, power equals force times velocity. Let's see, power involvement in a squat. Any explosive type movement is going to involve muscular power. Muscular power comes from the product of the muscular force times the muscular velocity. Power is extremely important during the concentric phase of the lift. To perform a squat, an athlete must have enough muscular power to lift the desired weight and remain technically sound in his or her technique. Just a little photo I brought up here. You kind of see the eccentric, the isometric, and the concentric part of a squat. Power is extremely important on the concentric, which is kind of the work phase, working against gravity. It's extremely prevalent. Let's see, factors that can affect power in a squat. Technique is a major factor that can affect power in a squat, obviously. Muscular strength, lack of muscular strength will cause the athlete to not be able to generate enough force or velocity to perform the lift. Muscular endurance, if the athlete has poor muscular endurance, it will negatively affect technique and can actually stop the athlete from finishing the lift. Load, of course, if the load is too excessive, the athlete will not be able to produce enough power to execute the lift. Ways to improve technique and prevent injury: widening the stance, plyometric type exercise to increase recruitment of type 2 muscle fibers. Variations of deadlift will actually help strength to surpass the sticking point. The sticking point is what I call, it's like the bottom of the eccentric phase where you're trying to transition and change that direction and get the beginning of the concentric phase. That's usually the hardest part for a lot of athletes, or especially someone that's kind of suffering from bad technique. So sometimes I'll take them to deadlifts for a while just to kind of work that. I like sumos. I've seen a lot of progression with sumos. Flexibility training would help improve technique and prevent injury. Specifically, stretches and modalities that would increase range of motion of the ankle and the hip. Research done at UNC University suggests that an increase in the total range of motion in the hip and ankle actually increases the depth of the squat and helps prevent injuries to take place. More research. Okay, so another research done at St. Mary's University found that weightlifting shoes will help with squat depth and stability. This is actually a pretty neat research. I've been hearing a lot about these squat shoes or lifting shoes and whatnot. Seen a lot of people use them. I've been thinking about getting a pair myself. I did know they help with stability. I, however, did not know that actually increases the depth. Let's see. There was like an idea that it did, but it was cool to actually see that research has actually proved that it does increase the depth. Also, research done at Monash University suggests that a deeper squat will actually activate more muscles and recruit more motor units. Definition of energy is generally defined as the capacity to do work. So, mechanical energy is the capacity to do mechanical work. Two types of mechanical energy: kinetic, which is like the energy of motion, and potential, which is energy by virtue of a body's position or configuration, calculated as the product of a weight and height. Energy involvement in a squat. Both types of mechanical energy are involved in a squat. The concentric phase consists of potential energy, and as soon as it switches to that eccentric phase, it actually creates kinetic energy. Factors that can affect energy in a squat. There are many factors that can affect energy. Amount of work produced, not enough muscular strength can actually result in inadequate production of energy, lack of type 2 muscle fibers, gravity, of course, and technique can actually affect all of these, excluding gravity. Ways to improve technique and prevent injury. Gain muscular strength through consistent use of exercises listed in previous slides. Increase fast twitch movement by training body to recruit type 2 muscle fibers through plyometric and explosive type training. Flexibility and modality training through exercises I listed in previous slides. There's my references. Thank you very much for watching my presentation. Have a good day.